President Trump is lifting some coronavirus travel restrictions, but the incoming Biden administration is pushing back against that move. Biden's incoming press secretary, Jen Psaki, on Twitter wrote this in part. On the advice of our medical team, the administration does not intend to lift these restrictions on January 26th. In fact, we plan to strengthen public health measures around international travel in order to further mitigate the spread of COVID-19, end quote. The back and forth over travel restrictions the president was planning to roll back starting next week comes just after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issued new orders saying it will require a negative coronavirus test from all air passengers entering the United States from coming internationally, a move the CDC says may help curb the spread of the disease. Joining us to discuss is travel expert Francesca Page. She also has her own website, MissTravelGuru.com. Our panelists are here as well, Jennifer Kearns and Scott Walker. Good to see all of you here. Francesca, I'll start with you and your thoughts on the back and forth with the travel. At one point, some folks thought, hey, we may actually be able to travel again. Now we're seeing a bit of pushback on that.
Yeah, well, like anything with this, there's benefits and there's issues. Arguably a testing requirement provides yet another layer of safety for international travel and could be accompanied by other risk-based policies, including lifting international inbound travel restrictions and dropping any post-arrival quarantine requirements. So that's one benefit that we could see with this new requirement from the CDC.
What are some of the non-benefits, if you will, of what we're seeing as far as traveling internationally? Look, there are a lot of folks that just, if they have the money to do it, they want to escape, they want a vacation, just kind of get away from what we've experienced for almost a year now. Francesca.
Well, the main issues are really logistics and timing. A negative COVID-19 test within 72 hours of departure will not ensure that COVID-19 will not spread due to the lag time between test and flight incubation period and false positives. Then there's the issue of logistics for travelers when travelers are stranded because they're unable to obtain an in-destination test in time for the departure. If at all, this could set off a domino effect throughout the supply chain. Yeah. For example, stranded passengers, missed connections, or canceled flights.
Right. That is, Scott Walker, your thoughts when you hear something like that? Doesn't sound fun to travel.
No, and it's, but it does, I have to say for a second, I think back to early in 2020 when the president, when we first were learning about this, the president's administration called for restrictions on travel from China and ultimately from Europe. Remember what Joe Biden and others said? They said, oh, that's outrageous. He's being over the top. Well, now the tide has changed and they want to go the opposite direction. No. This president took the right action early on, head in the right direction. We can now slowly but surely start to get back up on our feet again. And one other thing on these vaccines, the number 2 person at the Department of Health and Human Services is someone who runs things in Wisconsin where they're nearly the bottom of the pack when it comes to vaccines. There's some real sharp contrast that the media, at least Newsweek, needs to pay attention to, or Newsmax needs to pay attention to, I should say.
We will follow that. 25 seconds, Jen Kearns, your response on international travel.
Well, look, I think the COVID test is the new TSA $5 fee. You remember post 9/11, that was supposed to be temporary and go away. My fear is this is a slippery slope, Sean. We could require COVID tests for the next 10 years and even worse, require that people get a vaccine before they get on a flight. That would be against people's will. So very dangerous territory we're in.
What a time. All right, we're out of time, though. Francesca Page, good to see you. Thank you so much. Jen and Scott, stick around, please.
Still to come, it's not enough just to prosecute wrongdoers at the Capitol. Now some in the media want to completely rewire the way Trump supporters think. Our panel weighs in on that next.